I'll be talking about reactive Rails and how to implement it. If we have time, I'll do a demo with the coding. And about me, my name is Clemence Sedem. I'm a software engineer and InfoSec and cybersecurity researcher. I've been coding since 2017, and I entered into information security somewhere 2019 as well. So that's a brief about me. My Twitter handle is Coder. Now, when we talk about reactive Rails, what does it really mean? So what I know is just a term used to describe a style of web application. This time around, we are not using any other technology, but we are coming to use Ruby on Rails. It's actually a sit-in for a traditional API plus an SPA framework like React, Angular, and the rest. So you use your Ruby on Rails to build an API and connect it with a front-end application. Or recently from Rails 5, with the introduction of Webpacker, you can actually do React or Angular or even Vue on Rails. So you can do it inside your Rails application. Something like that, but even that you still have to write an API to talk to the front end. What does reactive Rails do? It actually enables fast asynchronous reaction to user events, just like React does, Angular, and all these JavaScript framework do. They allow you to have efficient, quicker user effects in the browser, and to talk to the back end behind the scene without you seeing it. So when I saw reactive Rails, I realized this is coming from Phoenix, because when I saw Phoenix live view, it was so fascinating that I could write Elixir code just to work like JavaScript. And I wasn't surprised when I saw reactive Rails, because Ruby and Elixir, they are just the same community. So it's easier for a Ruby developer to move to Elixir, and also an Elixir developer to move to Ruby, and the other way around. So that's a short description about reactive Rails. So what are the stats that will help us build a reactive Rails? Per my research, I came across three main leading ones. The first one is Stimulus Reflex by HopSoft, and then the Hotwire from the Basecamp team that's actually powering their new application Hey.com, which is an email application, and that is where DHH himself is. So you can imagine what Hotwire will be. And I met another one called Midstack. This is developed by two German friends, and it's actually building on top of, I think, Stimulus Reflex, and it makes implementation easier. But for today, I'll be demonstrating Hotwire because it is more of Ruby than Stimulus Reflex. Because when you want to do pure Ruby with reactive Rails with Stimulus Reflex, I think you'll be limited to certain actions. Like, for example, handling forms, you may be tempted to write JavaScript. That is what we want to avoid here. Or you want to relegate all the controller actions into the reflex, which is not advisable. So I'll be demonstrating Hotwire, that is sending HTML over the wire, as it is described by the Basecamp team. So I'll just give a short description about Stimulus Reflex. When you check their website, they describe, or HopSoft describes Stimulus Reflex as a new craft modding reactive web interface with Ruby on Rails. So they say it's a modding way to do reactive web applications using Ruby on Rails, not JavaScript. So Stimulus Reflex is built on top of Stimulus.js. Stimulus.js is also a JavaScript framework from Basecamp team as well. And so it also works just like React, Angular, and other ones. So you can use it in Rails as well. You can use Webpacker and use Stimulus.js as well. Then Cable Ready. Now Cable Ready was developed by the same HopSoft on top of Action Cable for the implementation of Socket.io, because Action Cable implements Socket.io. So Cable Ready was also developed just to function like that. And I see Stimulus Reflex as an alternative to building SPAs. By this time around, we are using Ruby on Rails, or we are using pure Ruby code without JavaScript. When we check their website, I think they have listed 4 goals: enable teams to do big things faster, which I agree with them, because we don't have to develop API somewhere and go and connect it somewhere. It increased developer happiness. Yeah, I was happy when I saw it. To me, so it facilitates simple, concise, and clear code. Integrates seamlessly with Ruby on Rails. Yes, it works perfectly with Ruby on Rails. And so that is about Stimulus Reflex. Then a Hotwire. Now when you check the website, not much information was given about this particular package or this particular application developed by the Basecamp team, but they were like, Hotwire is an alternative approach to building modern web applications without using much JavaScript by sending HTML instead of JSON over the wire. So with Hotwire, you are actually going to send a whole HTML over the wire using table rails. So talking about table rails, Hotwire is built on top of Stimulus JS, table rails, and there's another one. But these are the 2 main components. Now, table. Someone may ask, what is table? Now, if you are an old developer of Ruby on Rails, you may probably hear table links. Now, table is the advanced of table links. You know, table links only handle the links on the page to prevent your page from refreshing. But table has been advanced to handle a lot of things, including form and other page transitions and other things. So table is actually here to replace table links. That is how I say it, because it has more features. It has all the features that table links has and more features. So table links is actually going to die. That is what I think. So Hotwire uses frames and strings, and when I talk about frames and strings, they're just like tags, like the normal ARB tags that we use in our ARB files. And when we get to the demonstration, I will kind of demonstrate that for us to see. Then what's the goal? To facilitate building web applications devoid of JavaScript framework. So we are building reactive web applications that work like SPAs, but we are not writing JavaScript. We are actually writing pure Ruby code. That is all Hotwire is about, or that is what Stimulus Reflex is going to allow you to. I actually did this description on only the 2 because MidStack, I haven't tried it, I haven't used it before, so I don't want to, I can't talk much about it. I only talk about the ones that I've used and I'm still using. So with this short presentation, I think we have to, I would like to demo an application on how to implement a simple reactive application with Hotwire. So I have a simple application here. This is just pure Ruby code. And then, please, is the Zoom okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I just started this server. Alright, so this is a simple to do application that I actually built to demo this. So this is actually pure Ruby. If pure Ruby on Rails, if you submit, you redirect back to your normal page. Here there is nothing like that. So if you add text 1, the page refreshes. I just redirect back to the same page. Yeah, and it refreshes and the rest. Okay. Now we want to make it reactive. We want to submit it without redirecting. We just have to update the DOM in the browser, thereby Hotwire sending a whole HTML back to the DOM for us. So the gem that I have you that is called the gem is called hot wire rails. So this is the gem we are going to install. So you can add it into your gem file, or you can do that through the terminal, which I will do. Okay, so I'll just try and do that through the terminal. So to add as do bundle add hot wire rails. So what this is going to do is going to install, I think, 2 gems. It's going to install Stimulus the Rails, which is the Rails version of Stimulus JS, and then it's actually going to install Turbo as well. So now that we have added Stimulus JS into our file, we need to install it. So we do Rails Stimulus hot wire install. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so we are installing the gem. So you see that it has created some files for us in our JavaScript directory, even the controller and the rest. Okay, so hot wire, reactive rails, either hot wire or Stimulus Reflex use Redis for caching. So I just want to find out if my Redis is, I don't want to install it in my gem file. I just want to check if it's running. Oh, sorry. Hey, what's wrong? System. Okay. System CTL starts Redis. Oh. Okay. Alright, so I think my Redis is running now. Yeah, so now I can. So now, if we check our code, we have some files have been created for us, JavaScript application and the rest, and that is all we need. We don't need to modify any JavaScript file for now. So I don't think we'll modify, and if we refresh our page, nothing has changed. It wouldn't change anything. It's still the same Rails, core Rails application. So the first thing we would like to do is, I said hot wire works with frames and then broadcasts or streams. So the first thing I'll do is I would like us to go into our index. Okay, that's where we are currently. So this is the form I'm rendering, so I just want to space it out, and this is where I'm rendering the to do inside the partial. So I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, so this is the partial. Okay, so now the first thing is we need to create a table frame. A table frame is just a frame that is actually wrapping up your HTML that will talk to Hotwire. That will help Hotwire to know where to update your DOM or where to update your application when it's bringing back the HTML. So to do that, all we need to do is to wrap this into a frame called table frame tag. Then we give a name to it. So I'll give it to this, and then we close it. I'll just add it because we're having a closing tag somewhere here. So okay, so we've wrapped it inside. We've wrapped our table. So if we okay, we have an error. Where is okay, so I think you need to create a broadcast first, or I'm not too sure about that. So let's try and see if we can rectify the error by creating a broadcast. So the broadcast, we want to create it when, let me just check the table. Let's see. When we install the JVD server, let's try and see if it's even support. Yeah, so it was because the server was running before I installed the gem, and I didn't restart it. I think that was why the error was coming. Sorry for that. So we just wrapped it, so we can inspect this and see. If we check our page, we see that there is a table frame wrapping the whole of the partial, which is this partial. So there is a frame wrapping it, and that is what we talk to the broadcast that will come from the model, which we are now going to set up. So we need to tell Rails that after a to-do is created, it should just broadcast. So if you are familiar with Socket.io, with emit, broadcast, emit, and those ones, so we can say a callback. So after, I think, create, commit, and bring a calibrate. Then you tell the model to broadcast. So let's broadcast prepend. Now we can say append and prepend. I want the newer record created to be on top, so I will use prepend. Prepend to. Now, what's the name of the tag that we have in the index? To do. It should have the same name. This is what will be used to reference where to render your update. So you render you prepend it to do's. Okay. So now we have actually set up everything we need to do, but it's left with one thing. Now we need to tell we need to tell Hotwire that it's supposed to stream, it's supposed to fetch data real time from somewhere, and that somewhere will reference the broadcast that we did in the model. So to do that, we just have to add a simple tag somewhere in our index. So I'll just add it at the top here. So I think we should just a stream tag. Install a stream tag. End this first. So we just say table stream. We are streaming from. So where are we streaming from? We will be streaming from here. We're streaming from this list. So we have our to-dos. So now with this setup, we can have real time, but we've not worked on the form, so it won't work. So to demonstrate that first, I think let me see if I can try Rails console. So I'll just minimize this to see if our real time thing is working. So we'll see. Okay, so we are in our Rails console. So let's say to do.create. What's the name? I think description. So that's 2. Let's see. Okay. So something didn't work. Even though if you check here, you will see that it is trying to render a whole HTML, but just that our page didn't refresh. So let's find out why it didn't refresh. This one, if you refresh, it will come, but I want us to debug. Now, when we want to debug this, hold on, let me check something. Use console. Okay, so you can see it's now working. I don't know what happened, whether we should refresh the page after saving it or not. So now we have three, I think I have 3 to-dos. Then let's add another one so that we can see the difference. 4. So you see that it was prepared at the top here. So this is the task 4 without refreshing the page. Now we don't want to be using the Rails console, so I will just exit it. We want to use our form. Okay, so we have a form that we want to use. Now to be able to use this form, and add it. Okay, we need to do something. We need to wrap our form in a tag as well. That is a frame. So I'll just open our form here. Then okay, so let's wrap it here. So we have to create a tag for this form here as well that I'm rendering. So we can say table frame tag. Let's just give it a new to-do form. This is what we will not need it now. We just have to give it an identifier. So do just somewhere here. Okay. Now this will just wrap the form as just like an iframe. Yeah, so even now nothing will happen because we've not done anything. Now we need to make the form talk to each other. So we need to go into the form and add an ID to it. So this is our form. So we can just say ID. We just have to give it to do. So that because it's a new to do, so we just have to do it. But if stimulus reflex will be looking for an ID like something like this. Let's say this is to do, so it will be looking for to do _1, to do _2, and the rest. Okay, so for us to achieve that, we just have to wrap it in DOM ID. So you can just say DOM ID, then add our to do there. This will actually get every object has a DOM ID, so it will just get it's incremental, so it will just get it attached, appended to the to do ID. So if we check our form, now our form is actually vanishing. What happened? We need to rectify it. So now to do that, we need to go into our controller. Okay, to do that we need to go into our controller. Here is our controller. In the create function, you see that we have respond to HTML, JSON. Like we have other one JS. If you use UJS, you remote through that things, you'll be having to respond to JS. Now this is what we want to do. We want to, if there is error, we want to respond to a string. So instead of HTML, you can say format dot format dot I think table stream. Then we have our calculator. We say render. Now this is where the magic is. Now what will happen is, so let me see if I can write the code for before I explain. So table stream dot table stream, then say table stream dot replace. Okay, table stream dot replace. Then we add our instance variable, which is to do. Then we render the form back partial. So the partial is going into our to-dos folder and we are locating form. Okay, so we have this. Now this format is responding to a string. Okay, now we are rendering a table string, and that table string is supposed to replace the form. So it's going to replace this form. If there is an error, it will replace the form with the error message and bring back the form. So we are re-rendering the partial, but this time around with an instance variable that may have error messages. Okay, so let's save it and see. Let's give our page a good refresh. And before that, in the model I have validations. Okay, I have one validation here. Let's validate this to be true. Let's see. So it still vanishes. So something isn't working. Okay, so this time around nothing is happening. Now the reason why nothing is happening, we need to do one more thing. So inside our controller table string, let's see if we have a typo. Table string render table string that replace to do partial to do and form, and this is our form. Okay, and we have our DOM ID. This should give us the validation. Okay, so approach to this internal server response. So I think we have some error here in the way we are wrapping this thing. So table frame to do form. This should actually work. Where is the I'm sorry, let me just see. I'm trying to figure out what to do as well. So it's supposed to be video. This why should this be undefined variables? We are coming from the error, so I think our controller seems to be having some issue with us. Yeah, we are replacing this. Okay, we've missed, I think we've missed one parameter. We've not passed the to-do, we've not passed it as local. Sorry. So our locals will be, I think something like this. Let's try this and see. To-do, then we pass our to-do variable here. So that when the form is re-rendered, we can get that variable back. I think this should work now. Yeah, that's not where it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be here. Yeah. So I think it should work now. Let's see. Let's pray. Yeah. So now, my bad. Sorry. I think it's pressure. Sorry. So now you see that when you submit the form, your page doesn't refresh, it doesn't send you back to the page, it's just like you are on a JavaScript framework page. So you submit, it gives you the error, and then you add a new task, then you submit. Now something just happened. We submitted, the task appeared, but the form has vanished. So we have to deal with that right now. To deal with that, we need to wrap our HTML, which is our partial. Our partial here in a frame. So we need to wrap it in a, I think in a to-do frame, in a table frame. Okay, so just to do that, you can just say table frame tag. This one just I don't think we need a name, so you can just say DOM ID. You can just add it. Let's add an ID to it, which is our to-do. The to-do that is coming to us. Okay. Then we can close it here like this. But we still will not get the individual ID, so we just have to do it inside a DOM ID. I think this should work now. With this, I want to work on the last thing, this done button here. Okay. I have an error. What's the error here? Syntax error. Okay, so I've not added do here because we are adding an end tag. Yeah, so we have an end tag here. I'm going to add a do there. Okay, so I want to work on this done, but I want to click on it. When I click on it, I want the status to change to done, and I want a timestamp on completed. So to do that, I think I've already set up a button to on our partial. Here is it, but I'm yet to work on it. So just a normal button to, and the method we are using put. So that means it will go into our update method in our controller. Now here, if we click on it, nothing happens because we are using to do params, but we are not passing any params here. So we just have to change this to what we want to update. So we just want to update status to be done, and we want to completed that to be time, but I think current, time dot current should be like the current timestamp. And then yeah, I think we should be ready to go. But last thing, we are performing an update. If you check our controller, we only give a broadcast for create, so we need to give a broadcast for update as well. So after update commit, so we want this time around, we want to broadcast, not prepend to, because we are changing value. So broadcast replace, yeah, I think replace to then our to-dos. So what will happen is, if we update this one, it will take this one and replace it with the new HTML that will be passed through the wire. So let's see if it works. Yeah, so this time around, we just click on it and you see that here has changed to done, and here the timestamp can try another one to, without you refreshing any page, no JavaScript, pure Ruby, and then you can add another text and both. I don't know why. Okay, so I think I need to sort that. It should be inside my controller. The reason why I'm saying is doing that is after create, it's trying to render the do. So to avoid that, we can have two ways about. I want to redirect to the to-dos homepage. So I'll just say to-dos URL. I hope this fixed it. It's redirecting, but it will not refresh the page. So let's say text again. Yeah, so this is what we just created. Our page has just refreshed. We want to end it, we click on it, then everything is done. There is a disable button. It's a condition that I actually added in the partial here. So this is the condition that's actually checking the disabled and enable button. So that is all I have now, and if you have any question, I'm available.